Hey, it's Jeffrey Lin. So last couple hours of 2019, and I want to do one of these decade challenges to show you guys just how far my triple chronic illnesses have come in the last decade. At the beginning of 2010, I had just started working with my research doctors in Utah for about a year, and basically all that did was bring me back from the brink of death, basically. Before that, in 2008, when I first started working with the doctors, I was 25 and my body is rotting head to toe. My eczema, my skin disease, and my allergies had just taken over. Throughout my life, I was born with this condition and it had just gotten worse and worse every day of my life. And even by the time I was 4, all the expert doctors we were able to talk to didn't know what to do. They just had this freaked out look in their eyes. So I just lived with it my whole life, fought it basically on my own for my whole life until 25 when I found these doctors in Utah. And that's kind of where I want to start off this journey back for the decade. I know it's not exactly 2010, but 2008 was when I first started uploading videos to YouTube, mainly to document hopefully what would be my recovery. But I had no idea that I would be able to try Dupixent, even though my research doctors, they were also part of the team that created Dupixent, and as well as many of the other allergy medications and eczema, skin disease medications. Even then, all the medications that I'm using now, it was just kind of like a whisper. I never imagined I would be as well as I am today. It ended with this year, culminating with me being the best I've ever been, being able to just come back from a 2-week Mediterranean cruise, going to like 13 different stops, 13 different cities, and actually be able to handle that. Whereas when I started in 2008, my skin was rotting, thought I had to amputate parts of my limbs because the infections had gone so out of hand, and nothing that the doctors could use on me would help. Actually, most of the stuff that doctors tried on me would make it worse. And I couldn't touch water. Everything in the environment made me sick and made my skin kind of melt off, including stuff in the air. Everything that I ate, I'm literally allergic to. All foods on the planet, no exceptions. The inflammations and infections had taken over my whole body, and it was destroying my organs, my nervous systems, my spinal cord, my joints. Even my mind started to go. I didn't know who I was. It was hard concentrating. It was hard just even controlling my body at some times. Here's a journey of me searching for this cure and trying it. I often tell you guys how difficult this journey has been. It hasn't been a smooth road. It has been a lot of trial and error and using my own body as a guinea pig. So I picked the highlights that I felt for each year from 2008 until 2019.
Logical step was for me to get on some immunosuppressants, and for those of you who don't know that, that just means you sort of turn down the volume of your immune system so I wouldn't react so dramatically to everything. The bad part was the blood test for my food allergies didn't come out too well. Basically everything that we tested for that I eat now, I'm highly allergic to. We upped the dosage of the immune inhibitor cyclosporine I've been trying. It's for people with transplants. I guess their immune system is rejecting the organs or whatever that they got put in themselves. So I guess that's the same thing with me. I'm basically just rejecting everything I'm putting in myself, or basically rejecting myself. My body's allergic to myself. So trying this thing has been working really well. Wait, hold on. We're working together on a new project, so Be sure to look for it, Fins.tv right here. Fins.tv, be sure to check that out. My insurance down here at Kaiser, they got smart about it. They stopped paying for that, so I had to pay for all my trips to Utah out of pocket. As you guys might recall, I've been surviving basically on that medical powder called Allergy. Actually, I have the amino acid and vitamin powder that gives you just about everything you really need for nutrition, but it's kind of like a protein shake, so it's not very fulfilling. It's kind of a little bland, so I get a little down sometimes about not being able to eat stuff and the endorphins or whatever you get from eating food, and get a little, it goes through your system pretty fast, so you get pretty hungry pretty fast. The skin's a lot softer, and it's not scaly or tight. It just seems like there's more layers there. Continue with the potato testing that I've been doing, potato powder, but because I've been handling up to I think about 7 or 8 milligrams or teaspoons per day, that's quite a bit, and you can't mix that in water. So we're going to try to just make my own kind of like potato chips without any flavoring, and just make sure the weight is comparable to I've been testing with the powder, and just eat that. We blocked the IgE from coming out in a big way with the cyclosporine. But on the other side that most people are more used to is the skin and just normal allergies, which you would take something like Benadryl as an antihistamine. That's where the whole process comes out and shows up through the skin. So we're going to use something between the reaction. We're going to use xolair during the middle of this path, and at the end we're going to use some antihistamines. Was really sick, nauseous and dizzy, and loss of hand-eye control from the combination of xolair and Celcept. So we stopped that, went back on cyclosporine for the immunosuppressant. Indulging myself today at Hometown Buffet. Just ate a lot, which would not turn out to be too good tomorrow, but been detoxing myself for the past 2 weeks or so, going back on the Eczema diet and McDonald's Big Mac diet. Yes, that's works the best for me. I can have that with minimal to no allergic reactions while I'm on all the medications. What's been helping the most is a medication called Gastrochrome for mastocytosis. Switching up with Protopic, so the skin isn't desensitized to these topical steroids that I just mentioned with the fluocinolone or the triamcinolone or the desonide. But really, my skin is doing great. There's no flare-ups, so when there's no flare-ups, I'm not putting any of these topical steroids on it. The good news is I am getting fat, eating more than I have in 10 or 15 years, but I still need a lot of help in my daily life, and just shouldn't be on cyclosporine, the immunosuppressant, for this long. It damages the liver quite a bit, even though my tests have been fine. There's always a concern that we want to get off it as soon as possible. It's just basically right now there just doesn't seem like a big future in what I'm doing now. I'm going day by day, enjoying it while it lasts, but we need to come up with something new, and we've talked about this for a couple of times before. So doing a rituximab treatment and then going to the xolair, which rituximab kills off a bunch of your B cells from in your white blood cells, and that's could be pretty dangerous. But without going to that step, not really dealing with the source of the problem. I couldn't touch water. I was even allergic to water. Now I still am. If I get off my medication, if I get off of my cyclosporine immunosuppressant, I can be in water still.
Gets me really, really dry, and actually, it's kind of, at its worst, it was kind of like acid. It'll just, make my skin swell up, and the skin will just kind of rot off. And so even when I brush my teeth, all the edges of my skin would just kind of tear and rip. Couldn't really continue my train of thought or concentrate on what's going on. So I was trying to use one hand to grip it, and the other hand to grip the flap and pull at the same time, and I couldn't, for the life of me, I just couldn't get those 3-4 things to work at the same time. I kept on staring at my hands, and then sometimes one hand would grip, sometimes the other one would grip, and one hand would be loose, and just couldn't get the muscles to work at the same time. We were up here this past weekend to find out about the experimental cure that I've been so anxiously waiting for. About 15 minutes ago, my doctor just called me with the news saying, "Nope, looks like probably can't do it." Here at Orioles Stadium in Baltimore, we actually made it to Baltimore, my family and I. Didn't really get to make a video yesterday in New York City. Hanging out here in the halls of my sister's graduation. Had a really hard time even making it in here. My parents basically had to drag me in. First day after taking methotrexate, I'm feeling pretty good. As you can see, my face is still kind of messed up. I've been having a lot of these blister zits, not just on my face, but you see all these like red spots like right here. There's even some on my forehead. There's one on my cheek, and actually some inside my mouth. I really think methotrexate is, literally leveling me. So, I'm so weak that my whole body feels so heavy. Like, I'm really aware of gravity that even to prop my head up by a pillow feels like a lot of work. I just want to be. This thing is getting a little out of control, and I can't really function at all, and really need some alternative. Azathioprine is the next best option. We were going back and forth between that and methotrexate. We just said we'll just try one at a time and see which one sticks. It's not a pure. We don't exactly know which one works for each individual, because my case is so rare that there's no comparable cases. We're just using the best possible information. It's great how just having a magazine, you can get access to a lot of events like this, and just so awesome to get the opportunity to do something different. Made an emergency appointment. Kind of glad she could squeeze me in, because I have not been doing well on Imuran, the head pressure, and but most importantly, just that my skin, the rashes were getting a lot worse. They were getting bumpy and starting to peel. And not only that, by Saturday, all the bumpiness and rough skin and dryness, actually the skin actually started to crack. So it just became really painful. It's kind of like, every single crack throughout my body, on every inch of my skin, kind of felt like little scraper, pins scraping on my skin. It's something called mepolizumab, but it's finally available, so we might want to try that. But given my track record of how all of these other medications I've tried in the past couple of years have not worked out to allow me to get off of cyclosporine,
we're cautiously optimistic, but I didn't want to do that before I went on my trip because, you know, if it didn't go well, like it hasn't been, that's going to be another 9 months out of my life or longer. And that was kind of the reason why I'm taking this trip, because it sounds dangerous for all the things that I'm allergic to and going to a foreign country and not really sure where, not having my clean and safe environment and having all the support, medical support that I need, or at least like knowing where to get. I'm sure they have great medical teams in the major cities in Europe, which is where I'm going. So, but the reason I decided to go was I've just been so worn out from all the different medical trials and experimenting with treatments that nobody has ever done.
Quite emo. You know, 7 years ago or 8 years ago, I didn't even know if I could live past the next day, and here I am. I'm not cured by any means, and you know, nothing has actually been solved, but I'm headed to Europe for 3 weeks for a business trip and adventure for my magazine company that I started. We're gonna go to four cities. All right, guys, this is my third day here in the UK, and we are here at the Liv Tyler fashion show.
It is ridiculously clear and green, or turquoise.
Down past Yellowstone Canyon.
Oh, I don't think we've been
West
there yet.
Thumb, and it was really sulfur.
Yeah, well, it's also all the trees and stuff, you know,
That is true, yeah.
all the pollen. I don't know what I'm going to react to. I'm very sensitive. I'm going to get the first Nicola shot I've been waiting for.
We got a straw.
Nucala backfired big time. Instead of improving asthma or just not doing anything, it made my asthma probably the worst it's ever been in my life. Luckily, Dupixent was available and on the market by last March or April, and then I was able to get it around May. So Dupixent is a injection that you usually give yourself, but I kind of wussed out and just had the nurse show me how to do the injections the first time. So the very first treatment, you do 2 injections, and then after that you're supposed to do 1 injection every 2 weeks. So after the first treatment, which is the 2 injections, things went surprisingly well. I never had skin that smooth within just a couple days. And then there was a while in there where my skin turned quite red and it was peeling quite a bit. It felt pretty warm. But what had actually happened was Dupixent was healing my skin, and that's kind of what it's designed to do. It's designed for people with severe eczema. So it's about almost 12 hours since I've had my first Dupixent shot. I actually think it's working. In September of 2017, I started feeling my right arm and right hand sometimes would tingle and be a little bit sore or a little bit numb. I didn't see the neurosurgeon until I came back from Amsterdam in November, and I mean, things started getting real. They showed me the MRI scans in detail and kind of explained it, and so I have 3 damaged discs in my neck area that is affecting my spinal cord, and that just makes it a very complicated surgery to do. Every time I've been to Europe, my health has been a lot better, especially my asthma, which is surprising because there's so many cigarette smokers out there. Just one night here at the Courtyard Marriott in St. Denis. Alright, so I don't know what's going on, but it's about midnight, about 3 a.m. in the morning, and my right eye, the eyeball is just swelling up. The lens is okay, but everything around it is getting really puffy and swollen, and it just seems like my eyeball is going to pop. But just being here in Amsterdam is so clean. There's not a lot of cars, and there's always a breeze going, and rain clearing out the air. Just somehow I healed super fast. For those of you that think I support all Western medicine, I don't. I tell people to stay away from steroids.
run away as fast as you can. But there are times when you're in an emergency and a steroid is the only thing that will save your life, and in that moment you gotta just bite the bullet and take it, and I've done that. Let's see, the Keukenhof Flower Gardens. It's a botanical garden famous for Dutch tulips.
I know that every day will always bring me something new.
So we got here in Frankfurt, and before getting off the train I realized my backpack was stolen. It's my medical bag as well as my allergy bag. Pyrazine from the pharmacy, which is Zyrtec. They didn't have anything else. They didn't have the Pepsid, famotidine. They didn't have the Allegra, fexofenadine. That one is prescription only. Allergic reactions from the pollution and walking around outside this afternoon. It's getting worse. So as some of you know, for 10 years I couldn't even touch water. My skin, eczema, was so sensitive and so reactive that water was like acid on my skin. It'll literally burn through and eat through my skin, and my skin will start leaking, it'll start boiling, it'll start popping literally within a couple minutes. So to recover so far and actually be able to get in our pool now, it's just amazing. It's Jeffrey Lin. So I've been here in Paris for the last 48 hours and just about to head out to Holland. Just want to talk about that feeling of not necessarily living like you're dying, but living like you don't know when you're going to be healthy enough to do something again.